I think this one I'm going to talk some about artificial scarcity and that there is indeed actually a vast abundance in this world of pretty much everything. And we're told that the world is so overpopulated and that resources are so scarce, but it's so blatantly obvious that that's not the truth because, I mean, have you noticed how totally like anti-human the whole agenda seems to be? The way that people are talked about, the way that everyone's been divided against one another, every little difference, whether it be some religious belief or skin color or just whatever political camps, various systems of belief that have been sort of introduced to our societies, to our culture, been used to divide everyone, and to make us always be in a position where we are in lack. Can you imagine? I mean, just the financial system as it is, and the way that the legal jargon and property ownership and things like that are manipulated in order to take away everything from humanity, to keep us in lack, to keep us divided against one another. You ever wonder why this world seems to be so anti-human? Why everything going, drifting further into darkness and division? And people have been made to hate themselves, to hate, the human species, basically. But what I see here is a situation where our species has been essentially born into bondage, to a prison you cannot smell or taste or touch, a prison for our mind, basically. Like Morpheus said, that's where we're at here. I mean, I talked about manufacturing and about how, how clear it is if you really look at things that the amount of resources is incredibly vast and perhaps even inexhaustible levels of resources in this world. But the vast majority of these resources are gathered in the hands of very few people. And because of this, a lot of people live in poverty and live in lack because the system is set up that way to where, I mean, it's hard for anyone to, everyone's so busy from the time you're a child through adulthood. It's just, we're kept distracted, kept from thinking about things, and kept busy, and preconceived notions of the way the world is supposed to be are imposed on us from a very young age. We're told Uh, well, the most resounding message that I see in everything here is very, very similar to the sort of things that showed up in, the movie They Live. It's, you know, consume, conform, obey, submit, surrender your will, surrender your, yeah. That's what you see, and I see that message repeated all throughout uh, the education system, throughout religion, throughout basically everything. Definitely with the governmental sort of stuff. It's conform, surrender, obey, and good job. It's just, you ever consider that we as human beings, basically we require our needs are fairly basic. We need food, we need shelter, we need warmth from the cold, we need water to drink, and we need some, on a deeper level, we need some sort of human connection. We need look at all the stuff in the world, the devices and all these things that are manufactured and mass produced. We're made to think that we need all of these things. Well, I'm not saying that I hate all the things of the world, that I don't appreciate having the ability to have a television or whatever other, store-bought items and so on. But at the same time, humanity's been producing so much abundant, so much abundance of everything, that if we were to stop producing right now, probably have enough surplus sitting in warehouses right now to last us for hundreds of years of everything you could imagine, probably. I mean, it's clear that everything has been manufactured in such a vast amount that it's more than, it's enough for everybody to have 10,000 of everything, basically. It seems pretty clear that that level of overabundant production of everything has been, it just seems kind of obvious. I mean, when you look at things, you look at I mean, if you get a TV for your house, right, and everybody else has a TV in their house, and then there's still huge warehouses and factories and stores everywhere with just tons and tons of new TVs. How many TVs do you need for one lifetime? If your TV works, you know what I mean? If you already have shoes, you don't need to have 100,000 pairs of shoes. You don't need to have 1,000,000 pairs of shoes apiece. We don't need that. You know what I mean? There's too much. There's too much excessive production. It's completely unnecessary. And what they have, if you look at like the vast majority of jobs nowadays, it's a lot of useless, not only useless but destructive garbage that we don't need. I mean, people, you got to see, like, there's reasons why people are kept down, people are kept in a position where they don't have the resources they need to be able to lead independent lives. But we struggle, and so many people have this sense, sort of an artificial sense of independence based on just people must convince themselves that they're free when they're not free, so that they don't feel that pressure, they don't feel that sense of oppression, so they're try to be free within their own mind by convincing themselves that that's what they are, convincing themselves that they make decisions and they have control of their life. People need a sense of control, and it's offered up to them, so they feel almost a sense of pride and that they are steering the course of their lives. But in reality, we see from a very young age people's true freedom and independence is chipped away at until we become like cogs in some big machine. And you look at technology. Another video from Matt from Quantum of Conscious talking about the technology that's coming out, and where it looks like it could be headed. Well, frankly, I'm going to say something that probably most people don't want to think about. Most people don't want to consider this, but in fact, it's very, very deeply ingrained in everyone to think of the concept of life here basically is we're conditioned from a very young age that the purpose of life is to do some job and to identify with your job and to do what you're told, productive member of society, and so on and so forth, or whatever. Well, I don't mean to denigrate that too much. It's just that, well, for starters, we live in a day and age of artificial intelligence and of robotics and advances in robotics and artificial intelligence, self-driving vehicles, autonomous drones, etc., etc. You got to see how human beings in the sense of being necessary for the future production of goods and services are obsolete. Do you not see that? I mean, so many jobs in existence nowadays are, if you really look into it and if you really think about it honestly with yourself, most jobs, many jobs, are just completely unnecessary busy work, or worse yet, are part of the reason of part of the whole structure that kind of holds together this false fabric of our screwed up reality. It's a lot of posturing and a lot of control. It's a lot of control that's exerted on the people to keep everyone in line, to keep everybody toeing the line and doing what they're told, and trust this and trust the science and trust whatever you're told to believe in. I remember trying to remember what who that there's this guy I remember seeing this video about this guy is like a big corporate success, multi-millionaire guy, and he was put in charge of this big company that had thousands and thousands of employees. Or I don't remember exactly. Maybe I exaggerate the number, but it's been a while since I saw the video. But the point is, he was trying to understand how this company with such vast resources was losing so much money and why they were failing. And he went in there basically to fix it. And what he ended up figuring out was that almost every single employee of that company was basically their job was completely pointless and ridiculous. So how he saved the company was by laying off all except for like one or two employees, and because the vast majority of the people who worked there were performing tasks that were completely pointless, meaningless, and just a waste of fucking time, money, and resources. Now that's kind of the situation that we have all over this world in a lot of ways. There's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of just unnecessary busybody type shit, and there was it started to be like a reason for that, because as technology sort of advanced, through the years. I mean, for instance, in automation of manufacturing and things like that, the reality of the situation is that human labor become less and less necessary. So, I mean, and you're seeing these technological, advances beginning to be tested out and implemented. There's self-driving trucks for delivery of goods and services. There are, automated cars like the Tesla. There are automated drones that can plant crops, that can pick crops. There are robots to sweep the floors at the grocery store, robots to stock the shelves, self-automated checkout, on and on. You go into a McDonald's or something nowadays, and what do you see? A big flat screen, that you can click on what you want and order it. And then there are restaurants and motels that have, robots that are waiters. They got a robot to sweep the floor. They got robots that can cook the food and serve the food. You got to understand. I mean, there are automation. Almost every job in existence. There are even robots, AI robots and things that perform surgeries. I mean, that's the world we're living in now, and so we're living in essentially what is an economy that is based in utter bullshit. Pretty much, you've got fiat, false, fraudulent money printed from thin air, and massive overproduction of all types of junk, and massive bureaucracy involved in every aspect of modern life in so many ways. There's a lot of Karens essentially, and whose job it is to basically to be Karens and to be busybodies, to be, I'm gonna tell you what to think and what to do. Nah, nah. There's rules here, that kind of shit. That's everywhere, and that's implemented to society just to give people busy work, just to keep people, and there's all sorts of like entertainments and just various useless fucking busybody garbage that's completely fucking pointless. And this is so that you don't have too much time on your hands to think about what's freaking going on in this world. You don't want you to have too much time on your hands to start to comprehend that humanity is becoming obsolete from the perspective of these ultra wealthy elites, that everything in, almost everything that is done by humans now can be replaced by artificial intelligence and machinery. And people like to sit and they like to think about this as though it's some sort of utopian idea that we're not going to have to do this and not going to have to do that. But this utopia that you like to dream of when you think about these fancy technologies, we're not talking about Jetsons here. We're not talking about some benevolent group of overlords that want to see humanity flourish and have a good old time. We're talking about a top-down system of control that seems hell-bent for leather to strip humanity of all independence, all rights, freedom, just basic freedoms and decency. I mean, why would you think that why would you look at the sort of openly stated agendas that the controllers have? They're all very, very anti-human. You can see how things are not being, look into almost, anything that things are being mismanaged at every level. And that's one way of looking at it, but I think a more correct way of looking at it would be that things are going exactly the way that somebody wants them to be going, and these somebodies that want things to be going this way are not fans of humanity as a whole. And I mean, it's easy for someone from more woke and in whatever sort of a sense you want to use that term, somebody who sees what's going on, whether it be the like real woke or fake woke or whatever. People who have a certain belief about how the world is going, whatever, and a conviction to see a betterment of, it's easy to see how, or for me to see how so many people are being manipulated and fed one utopian idea after another or some other. People's desire to help improve their own situation and to help their fellow man is being used against us, against all of them, to drive a wedge between people instead of bringing us together. See, they drive a wedge between people and drive people apart in the name of bringing people together. They destroy the environment in the name of saving it. They destroy humanity in the name of bettering it. And they're toppling civilization in the name of being civilized. It's I don't know. It's just, we're living in a time of absolute utter madness, and I just don't know what we can do about it. I mean, it seems kind of horrifying, honestly. Look at what's going on in the world, and just all the imposed division and destruction of societies and cultures, and sort of this it's just, I don't know, it's sad. I guess I'm starting to get kind of more tired now, losing my train of thought. I I don't know what to say here. Kind of forgot where I was going with this. I guess what I was trying to get at here was that your precious gerbs are not going to be here to save you, to save us, to save humanity in the future. We need to find a new way to exist in this world if we are to survive. If we're going to be able to make it into the future and not end up living in some nightmarish dystopia, then we need to find a new way of thinking about things, a new way of solving problems, of not being so reliant on finance and possession, and I mean, I'm not talking about like the way they talk about, oh, own nothing and be happy. No. What I'm trying to say is, for all the fear mongering and all the madness, all the fist waving and shouting and fear mongering about the finite supply of things in this world, the truth of the matter is that there is a vast abundance of everything we could ever want to last a very, very long time. Every single one of us could have, you could end, if someone in any one of these people in these high level of power, authority here, if they really wanted to, they could end homelessness and poverty in the blink of an eye, like, just like that. I mean, don't you find it strange that so many people are posturing as though they care so much about helping impoverished and helping humanity? But this is coming from the mouths of people who have, billions, if not trillions of dollars in assets and massive amounts of resources at their disposal that have influence over the political sphere of the entire planet. These are people that, in the blink of an eye, if they wish to, could bring waters to the desert, could turn deserts into vast forests and farmlands, could feed could ramp up production of food and end starvation on the planet in make very short work of these major problems that we face in this world, if they truly intended on solving these problems. I'm gonna try to get, like, you can see how everything, the sort of way that society has been manipulated to be so unnatural. The level of destruction and poverty and starvation that exists in this world, and the political strife, all these things could not exist without a whole lot of people being involved in making these things, making the world a terrible place, basically. there's a lot of posturing about wanting to fix things. Remember the passage in the Bible about beating their swords into plowshares. This. I mean, could you imagine just? I mean, take. There have been. I don't know. I don't want to start getting into things about necessarily too much about certain. Sometimes you can say too much or in too much detail, end up getting yourself harmed or something, like a certain guy with the first name Momar, who he created a man-made lake or something in the desert, brought water to his country, and tried to get off the certain monetary system to their own gold standard, and look what happened to him. See what I mean? I'm saying it's not. You can look into any of these things. I mean, you talk about filth in waters. There have been large ponds, even lakes, that people have found ways to where they could clean the water. I mean, do you really think that Garbage Island out there in the ocean is something that is not a problem that they could solve if they wanted to? Of course they could solve that problem. You think they couldn't freaking haul some garbage away? But you trust them to run the affairs of your life and the entire world, entire monetary system? You trust people that pretend to be incapable of hauling away a pile of garbage to run the world? And you actually believe that shit? Come on, man. I mean, the fact that we live in a modern day with such abundance of land resources, but yet have inadequate food production to, there are people in this world that actually go hungry in the modern day, is absolutely ridiculous. And it's not something that could not be solved. It's something that could be very, very fucking easily solved. But it would take cooperation, and the people. It's not a problem that's organic. It's a problem that is very intentionally caused. It's like I remember hearing some story. I think I don't remember, for the History Channel or where I saw this. They talked about how there's a place over in like Iraq, I think, that they believed was like the historical garden of location of the Garden of Eden, right? And they talked about how there were all these people living there, and they had these, villages and these like straw huts and farms and everything. And Saddam couldn't get in there to, tyrannize these people because they were surrounded. They had just a pretty secure location there. So what he did was he diverted the water away from there, and the land dried up, and they were no longer able to grow crops, and they had to move away out into the open where he was able to target them. You see, that's sort of an example of how people in power make sure that they have the people who aren't in power right where they want them, under their thumb, under their control. They control the food, communications, the vast resources of the world are under their control, so therefore the people are under their control. And I think it's very sad that people with such vast power and wealth would wish to deprive people of freedom and keep people away from abundance. That, I mean, these people could live in absolute, just amazing levels of luxury and still leave plenty left over for everyone else to live freaking happily ever after. But somebody doesn't want that, it's sad. Alright, ran out of space here. Bye.